Back in Star Wars, filmmakers didn't have powerful computers, advanced software, or digital effects, and yet they built an entire galaxy that felt real, from massive space battles to holographic games and glowing lightsabers. But how did they do it? In today's video, we're going behind the scenes to uncover the genius practical effects, clever tricks, and filmmaking secrets that made Star Wars a timeless masterpiece. As the story continues in Star Wars, Luke ventures deeper into the harsh desert of the Jundland Wastes in search of R2-D2. The scene quickly shifts in tone when he's ambushed by the mysterious Tusken Raiders, also known as the Sand People. The setting feels empty, dangerous, and unpredictable, and much of that realism comes from practical effects and grounded design choices. One of the most fascinating elements in this sequence is the Bantha, a large furry creature that looks completely alien. Surprisingly, this wasn't an animatronic or puppet. It was actually a real elephant wearing a detailed costume. The production team covered the animal with yak hair and natural fibers to create thick fur, while the head and horns were shaped using lightweight materials like foam and wire. The biggest challenge was ensuring the elephant could move comfortably while wearing the costume, which required careful coordination during filming. One of the most surprising moments for audiences back in Star Wars was the introduction of Luke Skywalker riding his iconic X-34 Landspeeder, which appears to float effortlessly above the ground. For modern viewers, it might seem like a simple CGI effect, but in 1977, this illusion was created entirely through practical ingenuity. In reality, the Landspeeder wasn't flying at all. It was a three-wheeled, custom-built vehicle constructed using the chassis of a British car known as the Bond Bug. It even had a functioning engine, allowing it to drive normally across the desert terrain. The real challenge, however, was hiding the wheels to create that hovering effect. To achieve this, filmmakers installed mirrors underneath the vehicle, angled in such a way that they reflected the ground below. As the speeder moved across the desert, the mirrors blended seamlessly with the sand, making the wheels appear invisible and giving the illusion that the vehicle was floating. But that's not all. If you look at BTS footage, you'll notice a large metal structure attached to the vehicle, something that might initially look like it's lifting or controlling the speeder. But in reality, this was a camera rig, not a support system for flight. Director George Lucas wanted the camera to stay extremely low to the ground and very close to the speeder, capturing smooth cinematic motion without showing any crew or equipment in the frame. This extended arm allowed the camera to follow the vehicle from dynamic angles that would otherwise be impossible. In Star Wars, there's a small moment that most people overlook. As Luke, Obi-Wan, and Chewbacca travel aboard the Millennium Falcon, the camera briefly shifts to a corner of the ship where C-3PO and Chewbacca are sitting beside a table. And on that table, we see what looks like a futuristic holographic game. Tiny alien creatures appear to rise from the surface, battling each other in a glowing three-dimensional projection. For a 1977 audience, this felt unbelievably advanced, almost like real digital hologram technology. But the reality is, nothing was actually there. During filming, the table was completely empty. No projections, no creatures, no visual guides. The actors had to rely purely on imagination, reacting to something that didn't exist. And after that, legendary visual effects artist Phil Tippett designed each of those creatures from scratch. Instead of using computers, which didn't exist for this kind of work back then, he used stop-motion animation. Each creature was a physical model. Tippett would move them slightly, capture a frame, move them again, and repeat this process hundreds of times. When all the frames were played together, it created smooth, lifelike motion. But even that wasn't enough. To place these animated creatures into the scene, the team used optical compositing, carefully layering the animation onto the original footage. Every frame had to be aligned perfectly so the creatures looked like they were actually sitting on that table. And the final result was an illusion that was so convincing, and it made audiences believe they were looking at the future. What looked like cutting-edge hologram technology was actually a painstakingly crafted practical effect built frame by frame.
Midway through the film, tension rises as Obi-Wan Kenobi sneaks deep inside the Death Star to disable the tractor beam. In this scene, he steps onto a narrow platform, and beside him is a massive vertical shaft that appears to stretch endlessly into darkness. It feels terrifying, like he's standing at the edge of a bottomless pit inside a gigantic industrial structure. But in reality, that massive depth was an illusion. The actual set built for this scene was relatively small, just enough for the actor to safely stand and perform. But the endless drop you see on screen was created using matte painting. Artists painted the lower portion of the environment by hand, carefully designing it to match the real set above. Then, this painted image was combined with the live-action footage to extend the environment far beyond what physically existed. Even the platform itself was designed to look thinner and more dangerous than it actually was. So what appears to be a massive, deadly industrial space was actually a small set enhanced by art, lighting, and camera tricks. In the movie, whenever the Millennium Falcon glides through space surrounded by stars, it feels incredibly smooth and realistic, almost like something created with modern CGI. But the truth is, back in 1977, there were no advanced visual effects software or digital tools to rely on, and yet what audiences saw on screen was years ahead of its time. The Millennium Falcon you see was actually a highly detailed miniature model, roughly 5 feet long. But this wasn't just any model. The artists at ILM covered its surface with thousands of tiny mechanical parts, giving it a complex, worn-out, and realistic texture. Even in close-up shots, it convincingly felt like a full-scale spaceship. To film it, the model was mounted on a support rig, usually a metal rod painted blue, which held it steady in mid-air. The entire setup was placed inside a blue screen environment, often referred to as the Big Blue Box. In the final film, it looks like the Falcon is flying through space, but in reality, the ship never moved at all. Instead, the model was kept completely still, and the camera moved around it using a revolutionary system known as motion control photography. This system allowed filmmakers to repeat the exact same camera movement multiple times with perfect precision, because it allowed them to shoot different elements separately: the ship's body, its glowing lights, engine effects, and then combine all of them later using optical compositing. As the film builds towards its climax, the scale suddenly explodes into an intense space battle. Luke Skywalker leads a squad of X-Wing fighters in a desperate attack on the Death Star, while enemy TIE fighters chase them through space, firing lasers in a fast-paced aerial dogfight. At first glance, this looks like a massive digital battle, but in reality, it was crafted entirely using miniature models and practical effects. Every ship you see, whether it's an X-Wing or a TIE fighter, was a small physical model meticulously built by artists at Industrial Light and Magic. Each one was mounted in front of a blue screen using thin support rods, allowing them to be positioned precisely for filming. And just like the Millennium Falcon, these ships didn't actually move either. Instead, the camera moved around them using motion control systems, creating the illusion of high-speed flight. This technique also allowed filmmakers to shoot multiple passes, capturing different lighting, angles, and details, which were later combined into a single dynamic shot. But what truly brought the battle to life were the explosions. Whenever a ship is hit and explodes, it feels incredibly real, like a massive object being destroyed in space. But behind the scenes, these explosions were carefully engineered using miniature destruction techniques. Each model was modified specifically for these shots. Small pyrotechnic charges and squibs were placed inside the miniature ships. When triggered remotely, these charges would cause the model to explode in a controlled way. However, simply blowing up a small model wouldn't look convincing at normal speed, so filmmakers used high-speed photography, capturing the explosion at a much higher frame rate. When played back at normal speed, the explosion appears slower, heavier, and far more powerful, giving the illusion of a massive scale blast. This trick made even tiny models feel like massive spacecraft being destroyed. In the end, it wouldn't be wrong to say that Star Wars proved something truly powerful. With creativity, practical effects, and smart camera techniques, filmmakers were able to create a space experience that felt incredibly real, even without CGI. Even today, it still looks just as immersive, believable, and impressive as it did back in 1977. If you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes secrets and want more deep dives into legendary movies like this, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to The Stupid Screen.